Hi everyone, welcome. My name is John Cottrell of MBODY Yoga and this is Soft Flow Yoga. So glad that you're here. This is a 60-minute gentle yoga practice. So for our practice today, we're going to be doing a pose called Camel Pose. Camel Pose and some other back bends. Alrighty, so we're going to be very gentle when we do our heart openers. So when we do back bends in yoga, they're called heart openers. We're going to feature and focus on a particular pose, and that's Camel Pose. Alrighty, for our prompts today, now you can probably see I've got a chair right here, so let me just go ahead and talk about that for a moment. So I just have a chair here, so you're going to use that just for some balancing, okay? Now if you don't have a chair nearby, don't worry. If you have a wall, a table, anything that you can just help yourself with some balance, alrighty? So I'm just going to actually just scoot my chair out of frame for a moment and then talk about the other items. And of course, we want a blanket. For sure you'll want a blanket or something soft that you can sit on or kneel on, okay? Because our camel pose does involve some kneeling. So you want something soft underneath you. So we have that, and maybe a couple of blocks or books, something stackable, 2 or 3, something like that. I've got the kind of the non-standard yoga blocks. They're kind of thinner than the typical blocks. The typical blocks that you can buy at a store or something, a little bit thicker. So I've happened to have these little thinner ones, and so I usually use 2. And then maybe a big pillow or a cushion, perhaps at the end of your practice, if you like to elevate your legs or even just sit up a little bit, maybe a big cushion like a bolster here. That is it. Let's go ahead and begin. So I invite you to take a comfortable seat, and that might be on your pillow or folded up blanket or towel. You can cross your legs here, but if that's uncomfortable at the beginning of your practice, feel free to extend your legs. Even feel free to sit in that chair if you have one nearby or up against a wall. So you just feel supported in this first part of our practice. And of course, we like to focus on breath, breath being the foundation of our practice and a way to really connect and move inside of ourselves. So just take a few moments here. You might start with a few deep breaths. Maybe breathe in through your nose. You can exhale through your nose or out through your mouth. Maybe do that a couple of times. Just some nice, soothing, cleansing breaths. And then just settle in. Just slow, steady breaths here. But staying mindful of your breathing. You want to be able to breathe so that you can hear your breath, even if it's just a soft whisper. Slow, deep breaths. Experience how the breath is moving throughout your entire body. As you're focusing on your breathing, you can do this with your eyes opened. You might just be taking a soft gaze forward or even down at the ground. You're even welcome to close your eyes. Just continue to take your journey inward. Slow, steady breaths. As you're breathing in, you want to feel the breath rising to fill up your lungs. Very expansive breath. And as you exhale, draw your navel inward towards your spine. Just an awareness and a reminder of your center body. Just a nice connection here. So again, as you inhale, you may feel your spine get a little longer. Feel lifted, sitting tall. Breath rising to fill up your lungs. And when you exhale, draw navel inward towards your spine. And again, our practice is going to focus on some back bends and featuring the pose Camel Pose, Camel Pose. In yoga, back bends are heart openers. So you want to feel this expansiveness in the heart space. So even as you sit in stillness here, breathing in and out, even give life and energy to your heart center. Just as you're filling up your lungs, fill up your heart. This is also a wonderful opportunity to set an intention for your practice. And because we're doing heart openers, maybe it's something you want to open your heart to. you need something, you want something, something you're desiring, something that will fill up your heart. Or perhaps your heart is full and you are wanting and willing to give, to share, to send love. Go ahead and take 2 more breaths and we'll add a very simple movement with our breathing. When you're ready, inhale and extend your arms out and all the way up into the air, reaching like a nice stretch. Then exhale, extend your arms out across the room, reaching with a bit of effort, and let them float back down by your side. Let's do that again. And inhale to extend your arms out, reaching across the room, then all the way up towards the ceiling. And exhale, extend your arms out, and then back down by your side. And just continue to breathe and move at your own pace. This very simple movement of extending your arms out and up, and then all the way back down. Paying attention to this steady flow. The energy in your arms, your hands and your fingers. As you reach into the air, grow a little taller, more length in the spine, maybe a lengthening sensation down through the sides of your body. Noticing the movement in your shoulders. Continue to pay attention to the flow of your breath. Keep moving steadily here. Now, as we prepare for our back bends, there's some other poses I like to feature to help prepare our bodies for back bends. And there'll be some twisting and some side bends, just to prepare ourselves for the eventual bending backward. Go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. Very nice. When you're complete, just let your arms rest down by your side, hands resting in your lap, and just continue with slow, steady breaths. While you're still sitting up tall, go ahead and bring your hands behind you, maybe just propped up onto your fingertips. Now, we always do this pose at the beginning of our soft flow practice, but this is considered a back bend, a very mild back bend. So the hands behind you, let's first just pay attention to the shoulders just kind of drawing back, allowing the heart space to really open. You might even tip your chin up a little bit, providing a bit more space in the chest and heart area. Now, when we inhale, just press into the ground with the fingertips. Feel the energy rise up through the arms. You want breath rising, of course, to fill up your lungs. Very expansive feeling there. And as you exhale, draw your navel inward towards your spine. Again, as you inhale, press into the ground. Fill up your lungs. You want to feel like there's this stretch quality across your chest from shoulder to shoulder, really opening up. And when you exhale, draw navel in, and maybe even squeeze shoulder blades together behind you, just to emphasize a little bit more of that heart expansion, opening. And take 3 more breaths. After that 3rd breath, just lower your chin so you're looking directly forward. And perhaps just walk your hands towards yourself so you're sitting up tall and your arms can return to your lap. Taking a breath or 2, feel relaxed here. All right, since that was our back bend, let's do our forward fold. Let's reposition our legs and feet so that we're in Cobbler's pose, so the soles of the feet are touching here. And then use your books or blocks, whatever you're using here, just for added support for the legs out here, holding onto your shins or ankles or even your feet. You'll inhale and just sit up as tall as you can, a fully extended spine. As you exhale, draw belly in and hinge forward a bit from the hips, leading with your heart and chin just a little bit, not too far. You can just create this very mild angle in the body, upper body. Then another inhale to extend the spine right where you are. Exhale, draw belly in and maybe hinge forward a tiny bit more. And of course, you don't have to go very far at all. Just enough where you start to feel a sensation of stretch or release in the inner legs, inner thighs. Now, of course, you can start to round your back, lower your chin, and even fold a little bit deeper, just a little bit. This is actually quite nice to do, actually. So go ahead and curve and round your spine and lower down just a tiny bit more. Since we're doing back bends, this is a nice counter pose to back bends, of course. Just that rounded feeling in the back body. And as you're folded over, feeling that curvature, do your best to breathe into your back body. Just as when we're kind of leaning back and opening our hearts, we're breathing into the front body, the chest, the lungs, the heart space. In the same manner, breathe into the back body. Even imagine you're trying to breathe into the back side of your lungs. Breathing into your spine, all the muscles of your back. Take 3 more breaths here. After the 3rd breath, again, if your back is rounded, just tip your chin up a little bit. That will start that re-extension of your spine. It's straightening out. Even placing your hands on the ground here and give a little press to help assist your own body to sit up nice and tall. Holding here for a moment. And then we can set our props to the side here. And let's get set up for cat and cow. So we want to come to our hands and knees. This is where you might want to use your blanket or towel here. Something soft underneath you for support. Here's our tabletop position, and then we'll inhale and just tip the chin up a little bit, looking forward. Feel the pelvis tip back. This creates a back bend. So cow pose, this is cow pose, is a mild back bend. And exhale. Rounding the spine, chin to chest, belly button pulls up towards spine. That's our cat pose. And then just continue to flow through these positions. This nice undulation of the spine. That rocking sensation in the pelvis. Now remember, cow pose, when we look up, we're creating that back bend feel. And when we exhale, it's that counter pose of the back bend, rounding the spine. So this is a nice preparatory flow of the body as we're working towards back bends. So let's continue for a few more breaths. Go ahead and finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more. After the 2nd breath, just take your time, just return to a neutral tabletop position. Hold here for a moment. And we're just going to crawl off that blanket, but keep it nearby because we'll certainly use that again. Just set it to the side. Come back to hands and knees. And let's get set up for downward facing dog. So here you'll step your hands forward so your hands and wrists are out from underneath the shoulders. Spread out your fingers as wide as they can to get a stretch between each finger. Even grip the mat with your fingertips. Lean into the hands. Put a little bit more pressure into the palms as they press into the ground here. Feel the energy kind of shoot up the arms. And we want that for strength and stability as we get ready for downward facing dog. Go ahead and tuck your toes. Let's do another round of cat and cow, starting with cow. That's your inhale, looking up. There's our little back bend. Exhale, round it out into cat. Hold cat for a quick second. Lift your knees off the ground and send your hips up into the air. Now you may need to kind of re-step the feet into place.
Keep the knees very bent. Feel the hips lift as high as they can. Continue to press firmly into the ground with the hands. There's your downward facing dog. This is also creating a nice lengthened spine. We want that as another preparatory pose for back bends, but also a relief posture for back bends. All right, look straight down and start stepping the feet forward until maybe they're in the center of your mat underneath you, flat on the ground. You might need to slide your hands or fingertips towards your toes. You'll be in forward fold. Here, inhale, slide your hands up the legs until you're halfway up like this, so a flat, long tabletop. We're going to exhale and partially fold. Now, you don't have to go all the way down. I say partially fold because you can stay here where your hands are just on your shins or near your ankles. You're very welcome to, if it feels okay, to bend the knees more and go deeper into this fold where your hands or fingertips actually touch the ground or just the tips of your toes. Again, it's a curvature in the spine. There's that weightedness of gravity drawing you downward to help lengthen the spine even though it's curved. And this is also nice as a prep position for back bends. Now, shift your weight back into your heels. Bend your knees. Let your hips drop down like you're sitting down into a low chair. Lift your head or heart looking forward. Take your arms out to the side. Drive your heels strongly into the floor to straighten the legs as you stand up tall. And then reach both arms up into the air. There's extended mountain pose. Then exhale, bring your arms down by your side. Right here. Go ahead and circle the shoulders a few times. Okay, we're going to do a standing position before we do our forward fold again. We're going to do a little bit of side stretching, okay? So feet maybe about hip distance apart. They can certainly go a little wider than this. Follow me. We're going to inhale, take the arms up into the air. As you're able, interlace your fingers here at the top with the index fingers pointing towards the ceiling. So something like this. We're going to inhale, reach high, and exhale, tip a little bit to your right. Just a little bit to your right. Doesn't have to be too far. Breathe in and just keep reaching and pointing up at this angle. Exhale, tip a little bit more. Maybe that's as far as we'll go. We want to get that natural stretch down through the left side of the body. Okay? Couple breaths here. So this is part of the prep, just stretching and lengthening through the sides of the body. Now we're going to inhale and come back up nice and tall. Then exhale, release the fingers, bring your arms down by your side so you can let them relax. Take a moment, maybe big circles here with the shoulders. Roll them backward a few times. Yes, and then maybe forward a few times. You can even just kind of shake out the arms there a little bit there too. Okay, let's do the other side. Here we go. Inhale, take the arms up into the air. You can interlace the fingers, index fingers pointing towards the ceiling, maybe extending the arms. We're going to inhale, reach up high at 12 o'clock. Exhale, tip to your left. Okay, we're just going to inhale, reach and point. Exhale, maybe tip a little bit more, and that's as far as we'll go. Even if the stretch feeling feels mild, that's what we want. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be too strong. Now, because we're still at the beginning of our practice, we're still kind of warming things up. So we don't have to go too deep or too far or hold too long. Okay, that's about it. We're going to inhale, come back up nice and tall. As you exhale, release the fingers, bring the arms back down, and shake all that out. Good. All right, let's do our forward fold and come back up. Here we go. Inhale, take the arms out and up into the air. Exhale, spread your wings, bend your knees. Imagine you're sitting back into an imaginary chair behind you. Go in slow motion. This is great work for your leg muscles as you go slowly. Make your way down, rounded spine, maybe touching your toes. Just bend your knees. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees, extending your spine so the crown of your head leads you forward. Exhale to melt back down. Even partial folding is fine. Pause. A weight shift into your heels. Bend your knees. Feel like you're going to sit down. Look forward. Spread your wings. Drive your heels into the ground. Strong, straight legs as you get tall, reaching into the air. And exhale, arms return to your side. Excellent. All right, we're going to do our variation of Warrior One, and that's going to move into kind of a bit of a back bend, but really kind of prepping for another way to prep for our back bend. So I'm going to bring in my chair, and I'm using the top
end of the chair here for balance. And again, this can just be a wall, a table, or even the seat of a chair, okay? But first, just our warrior one. You can always use your balancing prop here if you need it. So we're in mountain pose. We start with soft knees. Start shifting weight into right foot. Okay, lean forward, and if you need that balance, go ahead and just catch the wall or table or chair, and let's just tap or step the left foot back like that. So we've got the heel lifted, just curled up toes there. And then pivot or turn left heel to the floor and just kind of sit back into the lunge. Sit into this little pocket. Place your hands on your hips. Press the pelvis or feel like you're moving the pelvis downward as you extend the spine. Remember this sensation. We do this all the time here, but this also comes in handy when we get prepped for camel. Make sure you're facing forward here. Now we're going to inhale and take the arms up into the air. And exhale, you can bend the elbows quite a bit, perhaps to 90 degrees. And this is our variation of Warrior One. Nice introduction to a lunging standing position. Take a couple breaths. Even think about breathing into your heart space once again. Now, go ahead and inhale and take the arms up into the air. Exhale, bring your arms down. Perhaps bring hands to hips. We're going to lean forward, putting weight into this front foot, so it's easy for you to step the left foot forward right here. We're going to inhale, stand up tall, take both arms up into the sky. And exhale, arms return to your side. Pause for a moment, even just take a breath, and we'll get set up for the other side. So a little softness in the knees, shifting weight into left foot, lean forward, use that balancing prop if you need to. Start tapping the right foot back, heel lifted, then pivot right heel to the floor, planted into the ground as you shift and kind of plug yourself into the center. Place hands on hips, push pelvis down as you extend spine. This is creating space. We want space. And then turn as best as you can to face directly forward. Then inhale, extend the arms up into the sky. Exhale, bend elbows to about 90 degrees, and we'll hold for a couple breaths. There is a nice slight bend in this left knee. It's pointing forward. The right leg, it's mostly straight, but you'll probably have a bend of that right knee. Perfectly fine. You just want to feel balanced on 2 feet in this lunge. Now, inhale, shoot the arms straight up into the air. Exhale, bring the arms down, hands to hips. Lean forward, put pressure into this left foot so you can step forward with the right foot. Here we are. Inhale, stand up tall, reaching into the sky, extended mountain pose. That's it. Exhale, arms return to your side. If you need to or want to, you can always shake that out. Alrighty, I'm just going to fold my mat in just so I'm bringing my chair in just so you can just see this a little bit better. Okay, so again, just having something that you can balance on, okay, a wall, table, chair. So I've got my arms out, so I've got some space kind of in front of me, okay, in front of that balancing object. I'm putting weight into my right foot, okay, a little softness in the knees. I'm basically just picking up the left foot here, but seeing if you can actually just take your left hand, just slide it down. If you can reach the ankle, catch the ankle. If it's your shin, that's fine. And I'm just going to take this leg back. Just like this, like you're sending the foot behind you. And you're almost trying to get the knees aligned with one another, right there. Now, with your hand on your table or chair, it's going to kind of lean forward. You might even want to put more bend in the standing leg, the more bend in the knee. So you can kind of tip, just like this. Now, it may not feel like a back bend, but it kind of is. You've got this left arm behind you, the shoulders kind of drawn back, holding on to ankle here. Okay, this is very much a variation or even kind of getting prepped for what's called dancer pose, which is a balancing position, and it's also a back bend. We're not going to that posture, but this is kind of a variation of it. Okay, nice strong standing leg there. Here we're going to rise back up. Let's go ahead and release this left foot down to the floor. Let's go ahead and take both arms up into the air again, and then down by your side. Alrighty, shake that loose. All right, same thing. Softness in the knees. Got the hands out in front, maybe on that table. All righty. Let's put some weight into the left foot. We're picking up the right foot in front, so you can use the right hand, maybe catch the shin or down low by ankle if you can, and then kind of kick it back as best as you can, right there. I'll show you what the back bend will kind of look like if you want to put a little bit more heart opening into this position. First, let's put a little softness in the left knee. I'm tipping over. I'm just bending this elbow. I'm just kind of leaning forward towards the back of my chair. Now, if I want more back bend in this, all I've got to do is stay just like this, but actually just kick this right foot farther back, okay? And I can send my heart up. Okay, this creates more of a back bend feel. This is optional today. All right, this is more about just getting the leg kind of behind us, the arm behind us, and practicing a little balance because it has some back bend qualities to it. Okay, we're going to rise back up, releasing that right foot down to the ground, balanced on 2 feet here, and then extend the arms up into the air. Exhale, arms down by your side, and shake all that loose. All righty, okay, let's move my chair out of the way. Unfold my mat. We're going to flow again down to the ground. Let me adjust my mat. Here we go. Let's inhale, extend both arms up into the sky. Nice stretch, side body stretch as well. Exhale, fold forward with soft knees. Making your way down carefully, slowly. This should feel good right here at your forward fold. Inhale, slide the hands up to the shins or knees, extending the spine. Exhale, fold again. Get as low as you can. Bend the knees more until you can bring your hands to the floor in front of you. Then start walking, stepping, both feet back to the back end of your mat until you're in mostly a straight line here, plank pose, right there. Let's breathe in. Exhale, bend the knees a little, send the hips into the air, moving into downward facing dog. Again, you might need to maybe step the feet forward or adjust the feet in a place that feels just right. Maybe adjust the hands. Make sure you're pressing firmly into the ground with the hands, strong arms. Maybe put a little bit more bend in the knees, allowing more mobility in the hips, sending the hips up into the air. Remember, we're lengthening through the spine, but you're also getting some length through the sides of the body. Think of yourself standing in extended mountain pose. That's with your arms overhead. You're kind of doing the same thing. We're just upside down. Now, inhale. Let's pick up the right foot and extend it up into the air behind you. Just to the back wall is fine. Exhale, bend this right knee. Bring that right knee in underneath you towards your chest or chin. Shift your whole upper body forward until your shoulders are over your wrists. And then just set the right foot down wherever it lands. That's where it lands. Then you're going to set your left knee down onto the ground. Using your right hand, go and get your right foot. Literally go get it, pick it up, and slide it up to the top of the mat. Let's re-lift that left knee, pivot or turn left heel to the floor, shifting your weight back a bit so there's more pressure and weight in that back foot. Just like the original Warrior One, we had balance between both feet. We want the same thing here for our second variation. Extend the torso, long out over your thigh, hinge from hips, rising up. You're just pushing foot into the ground, using thigh strength, core strength to rise up, reach up into the air right here. We're going to exhale, turn your torso towards the left side of the room as your arms come down to parallel, Warrior Two. Hold here for a moment just to arrive in the posture. Just check in with your balance. You can always adjust the feet to help you balance. Now, reaching out over your right leg, an angled upper body, right there is good. Rotate the arms. Bring the right hand down, maybe just to your thigh. If you're high enough, your hand can rest on your thigh. If you're a little bit lower, maybe bend this elbow, bring the forearm to your thigh. With this left hand, it's going straight up, but then send it over your head like this, reaching through your fingertips. We're getting another side body stretch. Take some deep breaths. Imagine you're breathing into this left rib cage. 2 more. We're breathing in. We're going to exhale carefully. Turn towards the floor, fold and bend. Hands are ready to catch you, hands on the ground. Rise up onto your tiptoes behind you, right there. More pressure into the ground with the hands, strong hands and arms. If you can, feel the hips lift up if you can. This will send some lightness into the right foot so you can send the right foot back. Just slide it back. You'll be in plank pose. Bend your knees a little, send your hips into the air. Downward facing dog. Step into place with hands and feet.
A little bit more bend in the knees, send the hips higher. Press hands firmly into the mat, strong arms, lengthening through the sides of the body. When you're ready, inhale to lift left foot, extend it back behind you. Exhale, bend this left knee, bring it in underneath you towards your chest, shifting body forward, shoulders over the wrists, setting the left foot down, you'll be on your toes. Right knee comes down gently. Using the left hand, let's go get that left foot, pick it up, place it up a little higher on the mat. Relift the right knee, pivot right heel to the floor, again shifting weight back, find balance between both feet. Make sure your back is probably rounded at the moment, at least mine is. Extending the torso long and straight out over the left thigh. Pressure into the foot. Strong leg to help hinge your way up, facing forward, reaching both arms up into the air. That's our warrior one. We're going to turn our torso towards the right side of the room. Arms come down to parallel. Now we're in warrior two. Be sure your left knee and your toes are still pointing directly forward. Make any adjustments here as needed for balance. When you're ready, side angle, just reaching forward to create that angled upper body. Rotate the arms. Now this left hand can just rest on the thigh. You might be a little lower where your forearm is on the thigh. I'm going to stay up a little higher this time. My left hand is on my thigh. Reaching straight up into the air with right hand, and then over your head, reaching through the fingertips, reaching towards the front of the room. Meanwhile, the right foot is pressing a little bit more firmly into the ground. That should emphasize that lengthening through the right side of the body. Okay, let's breathe in. Exhale as carefully turn and fold. Bringing hands down to the mat, rise up onto tiptoes behind you. There's our runner's lunge. More pressure into the ground with the hands, strong arms, lifting hips so you can slide or step the left foot back. Plank pose, hold. Now let's bring knees to the ground. Let's just stay here for 3 breaths so you can return to cat and cow. Looking up or forward, create the back bend, that's cow. Exhale, round it out, cat. Another undulation of the spine. Now we're going to get ready for that camel pose. Alrighty, after that 3rd breath, pause in this tabletop position. And you might even just sit back a little bit. You might even tuck your toes, sit back. Maybe I call this half hero. Okay, so you can just get off the hands. Now you may want to do that because we need to go get our props. So we want to bring in that blanket again, right here. Something nice and soft that you can kneel on. So go ahead and get your knees up on that blanket. Alrighty, and then once you're on that blanket, lift yourself up right here. Okay, so we're working towards getting the hips directly over the knees. There is some effort here of pushing right through here, okay, where my hands are, just pushing forward. That's a very active sensation. Rather than just kind of being relaxed here, this is relaxed, okay? We need the effort of pushing pelvis forward, keeping that sensation, okay? You can do whatever you need with your feet. They can be flat like that or even tuck your toes. Either one's fine for this first part. Now you're going to bring your hands behind you. I'm going to turn this way so you can see this. Okay, we've done this before, but just as a reminder, hands behind you. You can either use fists, thumbs, or palms. I tend to use my fists. And this is to do 2 things. One, you're pushing down with some effort. Okay, remember when I had you place hands on hips and push pelvis down? Okay, earlier, you're doing the same thing here, just kind of pushing down, making as much space as we can in that low back area. When you push down, you want to try to get your torso and spine to lift up, lengthening. The second movement is pushing fists forward. That should keep your hips right over the knees. That's what we do to keep the integrity of the pose. Okay, I'm going to turn this way again. Now, again, we're inhaling, pushing down and getting tall. Exhale, push forward, and then just lean back a tiny bit. You might even tip your chin up or dart your eyes up a little bit. So we're creating a back bend. You can see I haven't gone back too far, but this is the pose. Inhale again, pushing pelvis down, lifting spine and torso up, making more space. Exhale, push forward gently, lean back gently. This could be the end of the posture. This is our back bend. Now your head does not need to tip back too far.
Like if I keep my head tipping back, it's going to put a strain in my neck and it's going to restrict my voice and it's hard to talk. So you can always keep the chin up a little bit, or down a little bit, I should say. All right, we're going to relax. So we're going to rise back up nice and tall. Start to relax the body, okay? And you might, if you can, a little balancing act of taking the knees a little wider than the hips, and then we're going to sit back into child's pose. Okay, so the hips are going to sit back towards the heels, or just feel like they're going to the back end of your mat as your arms go forward and you kind of sink your way down. This too is a nice counter pose to that camel pose we just did. There's a quality of lengthening, and the back might be slightly rounded, and that's perfect for this. Now we are going to do camel pose again, same variation. Take some deep breaths. Just as we did earlier, see if you can breathe into your back body, muscles, bones, the back side of your lungs. 2 more breaths. After the second breath, just slowly rise, return to hands and knees. If you want here, maybe 2 or 3 breaths, cat and cow. Let's just keep that nice mobility through the spine, okay? Creating the back bend in cow, rounded spine in cat. Tuck toes, sit back half hero, just get the weight off the hands, and once again, rising up right there. Here you might feel relaxed. Bring the knees in, making sure your hips are directly over the knees here in front. You don't want them too wide. Can you see this? See how my knees are wide? I'm going to bring them in nice and close. Pushing pelvis forward, very active here. Hands behind you, fists, thumbs, or palms. We're inhaling to push down and lift up. Exhale, pushing forward so we can keep hips over knees, lean back a tiny bit. Stay here or do that again. Inhale, push down, get tall. Exhale, push forward. Of course, you're drawing belly button in towards spine, leaning back. And because the shoulders are behind you, you might be able to squeeze shoulder blades together, just depending on how your arms are, okay? And this can be as far as you need to go. Yes, you could go deeper. In other classes that I teach, I might guide you into a deeper back bend. Remember, this is camel pose. Think of a camel, the hump of a camel. That's what we're creating. Okay, so we're not going all the way over. You can kind of imagine going all the way over, okay? Your head back, your hands back, creating the hump of the camel. 2 more breaths. All right, we're going to come back up. Soften. Take the knees wide again. Maybe tuck toes just to help support your body as you sit back. Same thing. Returning to child's pose. We're going to add something to child's pose once we're down there. Okay, so make your way to child's pose. Arms extended out front. Extending these opposite directions, reaching forward and sitting back, lengthening through the spine. Okay, let's add a little side stretch. You're going to walk both hands over towards the left corner of your mat and keep reaching in that direction. This should stimulate a stretch sensation down through the right side of the body. Breathe into that right side. Three breaths. And then just walk your way back to center. You might just take a breath there. And then walk both hands over towards the right corner of your mat, or beyond that. You can even reach more towards the right side of your mat, depending on what you need to create that lengthening and stretch quality down through the left side of your body. Breathe into that side. Breathe into your rib cage on that side. 3 breaths. And then carefully come back to center. Rise up to hands and knees. Once again, sit back into hero.
Alrighty, then sit off to the side, swing the legs around to the front, and just come to a comfortable seated position. You can just cross your legs here. Okay, one of the other postures I mentioned was twisting. So we're just going to do a very mild twist. So if it feels okay, just cross your legs. I typically sit in half lotus. That's just comfortable for me. And I'll try to mirror you here too. But first, just sit as tall as you can, but we'll assist our own bodies into getting even taller. Okay? So take your right hand, place it kind of behind you to help push into the ground. That's the assist to help you sit up nice and tall. Now your left hand is kind of free at the moment. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, pull belly in, and using that core energy and strength of the musculature system to start twisting, okay, to your right. Just a little bit. And then once you've kind of turned and you're kind of facing out at an angle at the right side of the room here, you can take your left hand and maybe just place it on the outside of your right knee or thigh. Now you're not trying to pull yourself any deeper into the pose, it's just kind of holding you in place. Just kind of thinking about kind of this lower section of the body, front, side, and back. Another way to condition, okay, our bodies preparing for back bends, but also kind of relieving ourselves of back bends. Okay, let's breathe in, get nice and tall as you can. Exhale, draw belly in to support the uplifted body as you return to center. Facing front, both hands on your lap here in front. Let's do the other side. So left hand behind you as a way to help press into the ground, get as tall as can be. We want all that space in the spine. Inhale. Exhale, draw belly in, using that core connection to help you twist a bit to your left side. You're just kind of facing in the same direction as this knee. Now your free right hand, just place it on the outside of that left knee or thigh, holding yourself in place, not pulling yourself any deeper into the twist. If anything, you want to feel like you're getting taller. Okay? Rather than trying to rotate more, go upward, lengthening, more space, more space. And deep breaths. Nice conditioning for the sides of the body. Working through the hips as well. Because what's nice is that the hips are stable, because we're sitting, of course. And so just rotating through the upper body, which actually creates a little bit more flexibility in the hips. Okay? Because we are rotating. 2 more breaths. All right, you want to make sure you're staying nice and tall, well-extended spine. Draw belly in as you exhale to feel supported as you unwind, facing forward. Hands can return to your lap. All right, nice. Okay, well, let's get ready to lie down, and we're going to get ready for bridge pose. And of course, that's a pose that we do quite often in our practice together, but it is a back bend. We're going to set it up just slightly differently here. If you happen to have a blanket or towel, okay, you're going to place it up where your head would be, okay? Something like this. I just have mine kind of unfolded, like I've crossed the small letter T, okay? So you want some space back here on the other side of the blanket. That's where your head is going to go. Your shoulders are going to go on the edge of the fold of the blanket, okay? And it doesn't have to be a very high fold. Alrighty, and then of course you'll need your blocks or books. So here you're going to lie down, manipulate or maneuver yourself so your shoulders are right on the edge of the blanket. Your head is on the other side of the blanket on the mat. Okay? And what it may do for some of you is actually create a nice natural support, okay, for the neck. Okay? It keeps that natural curve in the spine. Okay? In the cervical spine. I didn't grab my blocks. There we are. Okay, so we're lying down. The back is flat. The head feels relaxed. The neck feels relaxed. If this doesn't feel quite right for you, because we're all shaped very differently in the neck, so if the blanket doesn't feel quite right, remove it. Knees are bent, feet flat on the ground. You can grab your blocks. Take a breath in, fill up your lungs. Exhale, engage belly, giving you power and energy, lifting the hips, sliding your blocks underneath you. Sit on the blocks. There. As you're able, we're going to do another thing here, is try to get the shoulders a bit more underneath you. Okay? Think about what we did in our first back bend. We were sitting, we put the arms behind us, leaning back into our fingertips. This is very similar. Trying to roll the shoulders back, in this case underneath us, to feel the heart opening. And then let the arms just relax down on the floor and just see if you can touch your heels or ankles. If you can't, that's okay. You don't even have to move your body at all. Okay? Just seeing where the fingers are in relationship to your feet. Okay? So this is kind of similar to what we did standing, leaning against our chair or table, and we're holding onto the foot, okay, and kind of kicking it back behind us. Okay? Very similar in nature. Here we're just doing it lying down, okay, in our supported bridge pose. Because in some cases, in a more dynamic bridge pose, you would be holding on to your ankles, okay, in this posture, and creating that pretty significant back bend and arch in the back. Okay, just let's take 3 more breaths here in bridge pose. So we brought a little bit more activation to this posture. We often do this and we're a little bit more relaxed, but we brought a little bit more activation to it. All right, when you're complete, pressing feet into the ground so you can lift your hips, so you can slide or remove those blocks out from underneath you and slowly roll your way back down, just like that. Let's take Cobbler's pose. So bring the legs and feet together, so the legs might even touch here. And then take the knees and just let them open outward to either side of the room. Maybe knees come all the way down to the ground or just towards the ground. Of course, they don't have to reach the ground. This is where you might use your books or blocks. Just like the seated version, just let the legs rest. Now this is where you can just completely relax. And just take some deep breaths. Just allowing this natural release and stretch in the inner thighs to occur. Three more breaths. Let's bring the knees together. Once again, planting feet into the ground. That's another nice way to help bring relief to the low back. Okay, just as it's a hip opener, but it brings relief to the low back. We're going to return to our bridge pose, okay? So pressing feet into the ground, lifting hips, slide 1 or 2 blocks underneath you. Now, I'm using 2 because remember my blocks are thin. You can just use 1 block or book. Sit on the block. Okay, we're going to do our inverted pose here. As you'd like, extend 1 leg, then 2 legs up into the air. Now you don't have to do this on blocks. Okay, if you want to do this just on the floor, instead, just flat on the ground, do that. Or another nice thing you could do is something soft, like a pillow. Just a pillow to sit on, just to bring some elevation to the hips. Just a little bit is fine. It doesn't have to be too high at all. And just extending the legs. Okay. Since the feet are free, maybe you can see up at the feet. Maybe create some circles in both directions. Flex the feet. Point your toes. Maybe wiggle your toes if you can. Just bringing some relief to the feet. Alrighty. Extending the legs in the air, of course, takes leg strength. It takes core strength. Okay, go ahead and bend the knees quite a bit here, and maybe add a little bicycle pedaling just to get into the joints a little bit. The hip joints, your knees. Alrighty, you can do this a few times, but then to add any other movement. that you'd like here, okay? For example, I'll just throw out some examples. You might straighten the legs again. You might take them out wide, okay, getting a stretch in the inner legs. You might even bring the legs together and kind of cross them. This lightly gets a stretch in the outer legs there, okay? Here's another kind of a back bend feel you could do. I'm bringing left foot to the ground. Left foot to the ground while my right leg stays extended into the air. Okay, so we kind of get this back bend feel, heart opener, as well as a leg extension. I'm just going to switch. Okay, so lots of options here. Just a little added movement. Go ahead and take 3 more breaths wherever you are. If your legs are still extended at the end of the 3rd breath, you'll just bend your knees, plant both feet into the ground, press into the ground to lift your hips. Once again, remove your blocks and come back down. At any time, if you feel like your blanket feels a little uncomfortable where it is, okay? Like for me, I feel odd in this position since I'm not doing the bridge pose anymore. I don't need this added support. So I'm just going to move my blanket out of the way. And this feels a little bit more comfortable just for lying flat because we're going to go for our twist. You can bring knees into chest here, taking both knees over to the left side carefully to create a twist. As the knees go to the left, extend your right arm off to the right. Once again, just kind of checking in with your body, see what it needs in regards to for support. Of course, you can place a block or a pillow or a book between the knees or underneath the left leg, just in case that left leg doesn't meet the ground, because it doesn't have to. Place a folded blanket or something underneath, just so it doesn't feel like you're over-rotating. Just as we did in that seated position, and we were twisting, I didn't have you twist very far. And so you don't need to do the same thing here, as far as you don't want to twist too far. Let's take 3 more breaths. Take your time as you return to center. You might even pause in center for a moment so everything realigns. And then take knees over to the right side of the room. Again, use props to help support the legs. Support that twist. As knees go to the right, extend left arm to the left. Since I've got my props over there on that right side, my legs are not touching the ground. They're just kind of leaning on those props. So it manages my rotation quite nicely, so I don't feel like I'm over-rotating. So it feels quite good. That allows for deep cleansing breaths, because you're more in a relaxed state of mind and body. If you felt a little bit more tense, your breaths might be short or shallow. You wouldn't be able to take these deep, kind of comfortable breaths. So make any adjustments as you need to. Let's take 3 more breaths. After your 3rd breath, you can return the knees to center. You might even hug your knees in toward yourself. Just catch your shins or knees. Hug them in carefully. As you're able, lift the head off the floor and send head and chest towards the knees so there's a mild curvature in the spine. And if it feels okay, some movement here. Maybe a gentle rocking left and right. Maybe forward and back if you can create the momentum. Or even just some small circles or figure 8s. Okay, another relief action for the back body. And then after this, go ahead and completely relax. You can move right into Shavasana or any other restorative position. Now, of course, you've got your props
So set up the props in any way that you like so you're very comfortable. So I'm going to bring in my blanket again and just use it for a headrest. This time my head is going to go on the blanket. I'm going to bring in my pillow, my bolster here. I'm going to elevate my legs. I'm going to prop my bolster on top of my blocks here, creating a little tower here. Looks like Stonehenge. Okay. You want to get those blocks. There's a little tip here. If you are using blocks underneath the bolster here, you can't see mine, but you want to get them as wide as your legs are going to go wide. So your legs are going to be right over those stilts, okay? So you have great stability. There we are. So just finding that comfortable position. Again, you want to find that place of ease, relaxation. Check in with deep cleansing breaths. And just melt. Of course, you can keep your eyes open, gazing up past the ceiling. You can certainly close your eyes and just move inward. At first, you might just take some deep breaths, awareness of the breath rising to your lungs, opening up this heart space, energizing this heart center. Return to your intention, opening your heart to what you need, opening your heart to send love. Continuing to allow your body to completely relax. Slow, steady breaths. Stay in this comfortable space as long as you need to. A wonderful gift to yourself. You don't have to move right away. Even as I end the practice and I come to seated, you can stay lying down. And whenever you're ready to move, start with breath. 5 slow, deep breaths. Feeling movement return to your body. And as movement returns, slowly roll onto either side of your body. Continue to move in slow motion and guide your way up to seated. Take your time. And then one more movement together. As you inhale, extend your arms out and up, reaching into the air. And as you exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Our heart-centered focus today. Take one more breath in and out. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste.